The Iranians have been planning to close the Strait of Hormuz since 1979. Is it fair to say that we should be better prepared for this and better prepared to stop them from doing it?
Well, that means I'd have to judge what we have in the Gulf right now in terms of the LCS ships, which are equipped for minesweeping. How many of the Brits are in there? They often have capabilities. The Saudis, what's their readiness? And frankly, what have we achieved so far? We know in general terms that the U.S. has taken out over 50 of their vessels, but there are likely some ships left, smallish ones, that can still put mines in the water. There are drones, certainly, that are left that could be problematic as well. They're not going to sink a big ship, but if it gets ignited, you could have a very significant problem on your hand. And just a handful of mines in the water can be problematic. It takes quite a while to do this. First, obviously, you have to locate them. There are different types. There's floating. They're just below the surface of the water. Usually, there are some that are tethered to the bottom. And then once you identify it and figure out the type it is and so forth, you have to figure out how it is that you're going to render it safe. You can literally blow it up. You can electronic warfare. There's a variety of techniques. But this is a real challenge. It's something very much to take seriously. And I'm sure that Admiral Cooper, one of the first times that you have a Navy admiral commanding U.S. Central Command, he knows how to do this. He knows the assets that we have in our Navy to do it. And I certainly hope that they are all marshaled either in or very near to the Gulf and the Strait.
We are at an inflection point, and President Trump sort of alluded to this, right? That either the Iranians mine the Strait and meet consequences that are sort of beyond anything that we have done so far, the American military has done so far, or not mining the Strait would be seen as an off-ramp for the Iranians. Any predictions on what the Iranians do?
Well, this is a really interesting question because we have a new supreme leader. The assumption is that because he's the son of the old hardline ideological cleric supreme leader, that he's going to be the same, but it remains to be seen. We are hammering Iran, taking down their missile program, already took down their air missile defenses. Obviously, regime leaders have been killed in substantial numbers. We're going after the drones, the naval forces, and then just the regime forces in general, as well as some infrastructure. In fact, so much of that President Trump apparently called Prime Minister Netanyahu and said, lay off that for a while. We may need that to bring the oil markets back in sync. Again, this is a real question. Will he prove to have a shred of pragmatism? Will he stop? Will he cease fire when we do? That people have asked me, tell me how this ends. That was the question I somewhat famously asked of Rick Atkinson, forgetting I was on the record during the fight to Baghdad as a two-star. I think it ends when President Trump decides that it ends. Prime Minister Netanyahu will agree with that. And that'll be based on how have we done against the military objectives, particularly how are we doing against the missile program, which the Israelis were going to go after anyway, even if we hadn't done this, the drone program. How are we doing with the price of Brent crude? Is that a problem? It came back down reassuringly today very considerably. Where are we on the missile math? How many interceptors do we have left and how many launchers and missiles do they have left? That can get uncomfortable as well. And then a handful of other issues, sentiment in the Gulf, in Asia, in Europe, U.S., Israel. All of this, I think, is understandable. The factors that the president will have to consider. But then the question is, will the Iranians, in a sense, either tacitly or actively agree with that, or do they keep shooting, in which case we're going to have to go back and hammer them further? It's pretty clear we're not going to achieve
the Iranians. The Iranians have a huge say in this. I think you're making that clear. I would say to our viewers that many of the points on your list is actually how we opened the show yesterday. So there's a reason we have you, and the fact that you asked that to Rick Atkinson, it's prescient. It explains why you know so much about this region and how well you understand it, even if perhaps at the time that on the record was not exactly what the military was so happy to hear, or the Pentagon was so happy to hear, a two-star saying.
And I heard it again at every single congressional hearing in subsequent years. years. And then we figured out how to do it. We answered it with the surge in Iraq.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.